Good morning. Welcome to Investigator News Morning Weather Show. As you heard, there's another earthquake down in Mexico. Wasn't as big, wasn't nowhere near sevens. I seen it as 6.9 and they lowered it to a 6.8. Not good though, not good. And there's uh, some really strong earthquakes all over the globe, from Indonesia all the way over into the United States. And there was one that hit up around Eureka. Uh, so we're getting some, but uh, I don't know if this is the one that bounced back. So if it did it, then are we going to bounce back over to Indonesia or Japan or, you know, I I just get to where I just don't know. I watch a lot of Dutch Sense and, get ideas from him. And I think he's even to the point where the earthquakes just aren't acting like earthquakes. They're doing their own thing and going into places that we have never had earthquakes before. Um, Especially we're starting to see a lot of rumbling up around Yosemite. Uh, just north of it in Montana and Wyoming. And uh, there's a lot going on with these earthquakes. And is it, um, we're not fracking anymore. And it used to be because of the fracking that would cause a little bit of the rumbles, but no, and it's not doing that. It's just hitting in different spots. So I'm going to get on with the weather, and we have a new hurricane that's coming up, and they said this new one might be going and maybe hit Florida, or it might be going into the Gulf. It's kind of too early to tell, and I do have Miss Davis to give you a small report on it. So we'll get on with this weather. Um, so here we go. I think
Here's a
everybody.
look at your national forecast. Happy fall, everyone. And for the Northeast, well, it's not going to feel like fall, but it is really going to feel like a rainy day because that's exactly what you're going to have. Now, for the Midwest, here you go. Here's your fall temperatures served up. 60s and low 70s down to the south, though it still remains hot, especially along the Gulf. All those 90s showing up from the Gulf down through Florida and out to the west. Well, the rain is starting to diminish, but today we will see some rain from Denver all the way down to Albuquerque. Tomorrow, though, that picture changes even more and we won't see as much rain. Drier conditions will prevail. Temperatures very easy to take down to the south. Here comes hints of the temperatures getting cooler from the Tennessee Valley down into the southeast. For the Midwest, though, you are still looking at some very cool fall air in your forecast. Minneapolis, Des Moines, you have rain, but take a look at those 50s showing up. And for the Northeast, man, this is a big change in the forecast. Boston, you dropped to 59 degrees. New York, 62.
Oh, there we got it. There we have it. And 100 in Arizona. Wow. We got up to, I think, 101 yesterday. And today's going to be in the 80s. So, I mean, we're dropping almost uh, a good 10, 15 degrees. And it's going to be nice today because, boy, this heat's sure messing with me. I don't do the heat very well. And boy, it sure creating havoc on me. Let me
Well, the
get this
Atlanta
set up.
certainly is busy.
Uh, okay, so here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Look at all the. Now, remember, I told you it comes off the coast of Africa. Now you can see what I'm talking about here. Now we got the one up around Bermuda. Um, oh wait, no, there's not one over by. Uh, okay, the one over by Bermuda, and then we have one above it. Then we have below it that's they have got an eye on, so it's going to be not named yet. And you can see that's going into the Gulf. We have another one started up, and then another one started just off the coast. So here we go. Hold on to your seats, folks, because hurricane season is definitely off to a busy start. And, they say that the hurricanes will kind of give us an idea of how the tornado season will be. And if this is any case of tornado season, I'm going to have to put a pot on the top of my head and hide in the bathtub for for the next few months. Reason I say put a pot on your head, you don't got to do that, folks. I had a neighbor, a little old lady that used to do that, but it was a big old pot, one of those deep ones, and she'd tilt it back just so she could talk to the neighbors. Oh yeah, she wore it outside. So anyway, off we go, and I'll let you guys hear what's going on with this hurricane. So I think Miss Davis again will be giving you the forecast.
But what has everybody's attention is this little guy down to the south, Invest in 98L. This is something we're going to be watching very closely. It has a high chance of tropical development in the near future, and all the spaghetti models, all the different models are pretty confident this is going to move into the Caribbean, take a westward track into the Caribbean this weekend, and potentially could move into the Gulf of Mexico. Where it goes in the Gulf of Mexico, that would be the big question mark. So we're going to be watching this closely. Conditions are favorable for development, and that really is the big concern. So we could see something out of this. Now, certainly we'll know more pieces to the puzzle as we go into the weekend, but this is something definitely to watch.
Oh, okay. So you guys seen that? It's busy, busy, busy. I'm gonna try to back this up.
This is something
Oh,
definitely to watch.
uh, oh, it's not gonna let me do that. It's not gonna let me do it. But I got a good shot of a hurricane though on my screen. But that's not the hurricane I want. All right, NASA. Well, oh, I forgot earthquakes. Let me move my little tabs here. Boy, I almost went on to just giving you guys news stuff. I didn't even get to the earthquakes, but the latest earthquakes, boy, folks, are just, it's like I mentioned earlier. It's just not only is hurricane season busy, but earthquake season. Are we having an earthquake season? Or, I had an email and someone said, "Is this HARP?" And, I don't know. This could be a weather war. This could be an earthquake war. I mean, China is getting a lot of them, but it doesn't make sense because a lot of them are going south. Japan and down by Fiji and Indonesia. So it doesn't seem like that because if it's going to bounce back at us, it just I don't know. It just don't seem very plausible. I'm kind of waiting on Dutchson's to say what he thinks. But I think it's just the earthquakes are building up across our country at this, and not only our country, but across the globe. So let me let you guys see this. Now, the big one that we had down in um, Michoacan, Mexico, it was a 6.8. Now, if we look over, boy, New Zealand don't get them very often. In Picton, New Zealand, there was a 5.2, and then it was followed up kind of by one in Wickerton, New Zealand, the 4.2. Now, as we kind of go around, there was one in Papua New Guinea, a 4.8, another one in Abetpura, Indonesia, 4.4, and then one down that goes towards over almost on the west side of Australia. That was a 4.3, and then I'm skipping a lot of them. So, um, oh boy, how do I? Pondagatan, Philippines was a 4.5. Now up in Japan, Hisaki, Japan, they had a 5.0. And then right on top of it in Honshu, Japan was a 4.8. Um, Now, Alaska is quiet. Remember, I said maybe I thought Alaska? Well, it's gone quiet. There was quite a few yesterday, and now it's quiet today. Um, and that was Avanoff Bay, Alaska, 2.5, which I don't think I've ever said that one. Usually I make fun of the Alaskan names, and these are definitely different. Ugashik, Alaska, a 2.8. Then we had one, here's a weird one. Prince George, Canada got one. It was only a 3.2. Um, and then, of course, off of Bend in Oregon. Now, that is where the bend is that I always tell you about that goes from Northern California and it goes out and then it goes almost back in to where Canada starts. So, Bend in Oregon, and Oregon usually don't report theirs, and they reported this one. Then the ones that concern me is over by Chalice, Idaho. That was a 2.5, and then one in Mammoth, Wyoming. And these are getting close to Yosemite. And Yosemite's already rumbling. I'm going to have to pull up a map one of these mornings to show you what happens in Yosemite. And then we had some down in White City, New Mexico. And also Wink, Texas got one at 2.7. Then we go down to, let me go over to um, this one in Hoi, Iran. It was a 5.1. Let me see down. Okay, now down around the bird's head is what I call it. Me and Karen call it the bird's head. It looks like a bird. Um, it's pretty quiet up around Iceland and on the Mid-Atlantic Ridge. It's quiet, but we had a bunch over in like Puerto Rico, a 3.4. And they really don't need this because they just had that hurricane to go through. Calubra, um, they're all piled on each other. Punta Cana, Dominican Republic. Then, if you go down to South America, Atacha, Bolivia, these are ones we usually don't get. Potosi, Bolivia, they're all 4.7s. And then we have one in Iquique. Now, we've had them in Iquique, Chile. I've said that one quite a few times. And that one was a 4.2. So as you could see, the quiet spots. Now I'm saying in between Japan and they always go in between is what these earthquakes do. And so if we go between the one in Japan and the one in Alaska, we're talking real close to Russia. Now the ones that concern me is the one in Mexico. Then everything is quiet, and it wasn't quiet yesterday. All along the San Andreas Fault, all the way up to that one that was in Abandoned, Oregon. So it's real quiet there. And so now we see the ones that come down through the middle of the states. And usually it comes down, then it goes over by Arkansas, and then it goes up the East Coast. So tomorrow, that's what I'll be looking for is these that are in betweens and the ones that's going to go up the East Coast. And I can't even say if they're going to be little ones, big ones, because it's so erratic right now with the earthquakes. So with that, I'm going to move on, folks, um, to basically what was going on with this newest earthquake, and they say it left one person dead. You wouldn't think that, but it did. A powerful earthquake struck Mexico early Thursday, causing buildings to sway and leaving one person dead in the nation's capital. The earthquake struck shortly after 1 a.m., just 3 days after the 7.6 magnitude. Um, Mako, Michoacan state government said the quake was felt throughout the state. It reported damage to building in Europan, and they had some landslides. They had a one highway that connects to Guerrero on the coast, and they said they had a lot of landslides there. Mexico, uh, basically, one woman died in a central neighborhood where she fell down the stairs of her home. Residents were huddled in the streets as seismic alarms blared. The earthquake rattled an early jittery country. Monday's more powerful earthquake was the third major quake to strike, and that was on September 19th, 1985. There was one in 2017, now 2022. The 17 and the 22, The quakes came very shortly after the annual earthquake drill conducted that they were doing. And now the one in 85 killed 9,000 people. I don't know if you remember that one, but it did. Um, so that's pretty much what's going on down there. And they said people were huddling in the street. I didn't hear nothing about any tsunamis yet. So I might have to look into it today and see if they have tsunami warnings. But if you are interested, you can go to the USGS and they have a buoy button, and it'll show you where the buoys are and if they're going up or down, and if there's any kind of threat of a tsunami to hit the coast. So wow, wow, this is crazy. All right, so well, I guess I have another one, I guess, to show you guys. Um, it's that asteroid. Well, might have to move my stuff. Let's see. There we go. Um, they are going to this week, within the next few days, they're going to send that spacecraft to crash into this asteroid. They say it's a small one. So here we go.
Five, that's right, all for science. The mission, called the DART mission, short for Double Asteroid Redirection Test, is a test of what the impact of an asteroid will have on its path. NASA officials say they think that this tactic could potentially be used to redirect an asteroid if its course presented a danger to Earth.
It's a mission to see if we could possibly deflect an asteroid if there was one coming at us. There isn't. This one's fine. It's totally safe. But it's an experiment to see if we could run into an asteroid and see if we could measure if it'll change its orbit just slightly.
It will take scientists a few weeks to reach a conclusion on the effectiveness of the test. Regardless of the outcome, data from the experiment will help NASA scientists understand more about asteroids. Impact is scheduled for Monday, September 26th. The event will be live streamed on nasa.gov.
So it will be live stream, folks, if you're interested in that. And I think that's really awesome that NASA is going to show this live. So be sure to make sure we get the date, and we will make sure that if you want to watch it live, you'll be able to watch it live. If not, check with NASA site and see. They'll probably have all the information on it and tell you where you can link up to it. So I don't know. I'm getting kind of excited, and they say it's an experiment, and if they can push it and deflect it, this is a total experiment. They don't know what's going to happen, so we're just going to have to wait and see. They say. So, boy, this is going to be. I think this is kind of exciting. This is something we have never done before in space. So, all right. Oh boy. There's a bounty. I know they've had bounties on these little fellas before. It's the the little lizards that are causing trouble in Miami. That's what it is. The iguanas. Now they have been taking over Florida for quite a few years, and there is a lady, and I think it's kind of funny to watch on YouTube, but she hunts them and she kills them, and I mean she just I I look up to her in a way because she just gets out there and she kills these little guys. Now these aren't little folks; these guys get big, and they have become a horrible nuisance. Not only that, if you got a little dog like a Chihuahua, they will actually attack it, and get this, not just one. If you got a bunch of them out in your yard, the whole lot of them will attack your dog and or a cat, and so they are starting to get more. I think they're starting to get a little bit more aggressive now down there. I don't know if it's because it's killing them, uh, people hunting them down, and it's making them more vicious and come at people a little bit more. But when I read into it, they said no, no, they're the same. They're the same. They're just mean little lizards. Now I had two of them I had one that we could hold and it was just calm as can be. We had another one that it would try to bite you. And we had it in a big, was like a, I'm going to say, 4 foot wide by about 6 foot long enclosure with glass on the front. And if my dog would walk by or the cat would walk by the front of this enclosure, this mean one would lurch at the and crash right into the glass every time. It didn't do it with us walking by, just the animals. And like it wanted to attack them, like it, hey, I could take you on, buddy. So I'm going to see if this is,
Green
I
iguanas
got to
are an
make sure
invasive
it's, yeah,
nuisance for
okay.
many in South Florida. Are an invasive
Well,
nuisance. Green
I had to make sure it's done by the Weather Channel because if it's by somebody else, they'll copyright me. But this is done by the Weather Channel. So uh, here we go. I'll bring up this cute little green guy for you. All right, here we go.
iguanas are an invasive nuisance for many in South Florida. But stick with me, this gets interesting. They are burrowing creatures and they regularly damage sidewalks, seawalls, and canal banks. Green iguanas can also transmit salmonella to humans. Now, they are not native to Florida, but they certainly thrive there. More than 9,000 iguana sightings in Florida have been reported to an invasive species database maintained by the University of Georgia. And get this, now, one Florida city official is considering placing a bounty on the invasive reptiles, hoping that it will help curb the growing population. A Miami Beach, Florida council member proposed paying residents per iguana might be a better way to make use of the $200,000 the city allocates yearly to professional iguana removal. It remains to be seen whether or not the bounty system proposal will come to fruition. The city council has set up a committee to look at the iguana issue, but there is no set date for them to report back.
So there you got it. They're the little iguana guys. And they're going to put a bounty on them. And instead of spending the money on hire for getting these professionals to go out and try to take them on case by case, they're offering it to the people. And the good thing, the thing I like about that, folks, though, is the fact that it's going to help a lot of people. If they put a cage in their backyard, you don't got to go get a gun or and shoot them. Get a cage, get in one of those small animal traps, and you put it out there. Put some food in it they like, and there, voila, there you go. And good morning, Linda. Um, I think everybody's overslept. Um, so um, the iguana removal, boy. Um, oh boy. Wait till you hear this next one. I read it and I thought this has got to be a joke. And then I read it again and I thought, no, this is actually true. A box of 200 mosquitoes did the vaccinating in this malaria trial. Yeah, and they say, no, it's not a joke. Um, uh, this is in Seattle. A gentleman with 9 other volunteers each waiting to take part in a clinical trial for this experimental malaria vaccine. And uh, so you put your arm over a cardboard box filled with 200 mosquitoes, and they cover it with mesh that keeps them from uh, it keeps them in, it keeps them still, but they do bite because that's their normal habit is to bite you. Um, and so literally, um, guess what? Well, it's not just any old box. It's one of them like Chinese takeout boxes, and that's what they use. And so this, she says this is how she remembers it. A scientist then covered her arm with a black cloth because the mosquitoes like to bite at night. Then the feeding frenzy began. She said her whole arm swelled and blistered. And she said her family was laughing, asking, like, why are you subjecting yourself to this? And she didn't do it just once, she did it 5 times. Uh, Folks, I got to show you this picture of what this looks like after they've been bitten, after the experiment's done. There you go. I I don't think I could do it. Some people would, but I don't think I could do this. So I'm going to get on with this. but she says, we use the mosquitoes. They're like 1,000 small flying syringes. And so these deliver live malaria causing plasm parasites that have been genetically modified, and not to get people sick. And the body makes antibodies against the weakened parasite. So it's prepared to fight the real thing. So that's why the mosquitoes. Okay, this is why. Um, this is because they're starting to have issues with mosquitoes from other countries coming up, and it's causing maybe a few more cases than usual of malaria. So what they do is they they're genetically modified not to get people sick. And then what it does is it makes an antibodies against the weakened parasite. So it's prepared to fight the real thing. So that's basically what they're doing. So, and I looked in, and there is a rise in the cases of malaria, and not just here, but globally. And they said it's due to it could be the shipping containers, it could be uh, they get into people's backpacks that are migrating up from South America. It could be anything. They can fit in any little small crack and crevice of any type of box container, uh, suitcase. And so they're starting to have some problems with it. And so they basically, when they were looking at it through like the NIH, and they were doing it the old fashioned way, it was very, very expensive. This way, they said they cut the cost of about over 50, 60% of what it would have cost taxpayers for these experiments. And not only just an experiment, but like I said, they're getting antibodies for this. And they so basically uh, mosquitoes and malaria, it's a toxic kind of relationship. And the first thing that caught people's eye that did this, why would they do it? Well, in between $4,000 and $4,500 for these tests for 5 times. So you do it 5 times in a month, you made almost 5 grand. So of course, they, this is, what got me was the genetically modified mosquitoes. And oh boy, yeah, nice story, follow the money. What I didn't like was the genetically modified mosquitoes. Okay, so somebody had to get these little itty bitty mosquitoes and modify them. For what if they got loose? What if they modified it for something else? See, Linda, you see how I question everything? You've been with me for a while. Karen notices it all the time. Uh, so does my brother. But this is where I get, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm a concerned theorist that, okay, what if these things escape with what kind of disease that they're going to come bite us with and inject us? They may have modified these little guys not to be harmful, but I'm worried about the ones that might escape that are harmful. Um, so now get this. There are estimated of 240 million cases of malaria a year and over 600,000 deaths. This is why it's needed, but it's not basically here in the States as much as it is in other countries. And, that's the one thing, when a mosquito bites you, you kind of look at it and go, okay, where have you been, little guy? And who have you bitten? And what did they have? I thought about that during the pandemic. Like, what if mosquito went over to the guy across the street and bit him, and he's got, the pandemic thing, and then he comes over and bites me. Uh, we just don't know. And I just don't like the genetically modified thing. and because too many things escape out of the NIH um, laboratories that we've been hearing about, and all the experiments they do on all kinds of animals. So um, they say it's a promising start, but there's room for improvement, and then um, they should be more powerful immune responses. Now, who's approved this? The World Health Organization, um, and RTS, it says. And so what they're getting out of this is a weakened parasite that will happen out of looking at this. And they say it could, like I said, could cut people getting malaria about 50%. So, all right, onward. Um, Atlantic City Council, boy, I tell you what, seeks to fine residents if dogs bark too much. If pets have been allowed to bark for 20 minutes, the law will cut off half the owners before they uh, will cut in half before the owners can be fined. Um, so let's see, let me get down here. The new law is approved already, and pets have the grace period of making noise cut in half. Currently, pets can make noise for 20 minutes, individually interruptions of less than 20 seconds. So pet owners will face a fine of $150 for the first offense, and then the fines grow after that. Now, I've got a lot of dogs in my neighborhood, and some of them they do bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark and bark for you go 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 30 minutes, and you look out and they're not really barking at nothing. They're just looking out their fence and barking, barking, barking. Now it can get very annoying, um, but then there's the ones that go out and bark for a little bit, or maybe see a cat and bark. 20 minutes really isn't a very long time, but it's long enough that it could irritate a lot of people. So the dogs might be the most likely offenders of the new noise ordinance, but the rule applies to cats, birds, and other animals too. Now, Linda, where I'm going with this. How are they going to get the birds to quit chirping in the trees? Who owns them, and who's going to get the fine? As a little red robin in the tree or what about a woodpecker? Are they going to go out and tell a woodpecker to knock it off, and then they're going to fine who? And well, they're saying birds that squawk in people's houses. So I looked at little Tweety out that's next to me over here, and I said, they're coming for you. They're in Atlantic City. They're going to come get you. They're going to hear you on my show and squawking for more than 5 minutes. They're going to come get you. And I'm definitely going to give my granddaughter the fine. It's her bird. But what is wrong with having dogs and a cat? What, a cat that's howling? Now I know cats that get outside your house and howl and howl and howl. It's annoying, especially in the middle of the night. But cats, you can usually scram. Um, so this is going to be interesting, because they say in the article that this is going to spread to other cities. That this ordinance, because so many people let their dogs and leave their dogs and let them bark. They'll bark all day long until their owners get home, or howl. And so we're going to have to get pet sitters, I think. I have to get one for my dog right now, because she just rips everything up. But I know my other dogs, they would howl and howl and howl and howl. And, you wouldn't believe the blinds they tore up. They get in there and they get in between, and they would tear my blinds up and bark and howl for a very long time, according to my neighbor. But he said, it never did bug him, because it was just kind of like, aw, they left a little fella there and he misses them. But not all people are going to think that way. So, all right. So, North Carolina man uses telemarketer money to open a bar called the wrong number. Boy, I would love to do that. What started as an answering a telemarketer phone call turned to becoming a bar owner. Um, you know, we have these telemarketer phone calls, and you decide to answer them, and it's just these crazy phone calls or scams. Hey, you got a package. Hey, you want to buy a house. Hey, your Amazon account has been hacked. Hey, all these different scams and telemarketers that, hey, we're going to sell you insurance. Would you? Hey, we can get you better insurance. Or there's a bunch of different scams out there. And he said he sat at home and let's see, what comes of this. This guy said, and like this, and he said he was starting to get just multiple from the same ones every day, and that's happened to me this week. It's Amazon trying to tell me someone hacked my account. Well, I don't have an Amazon account. I mean, my name is in Amazon nowhere. um, and so, when they ask that, I say, well, what name is on the account? And then they tell me, I said, oh, that's not me. Or, normally at certain hours, I answer the phone investigator news uh, when I'm doing business. So this guy here, he said he's sitting at home and this is happening. Let's see what comes of it. He said there originally it was let's write a letter and see if we can get them to put them on a no call list, because you put on the no call list and then they sell your name to another company, and then you get phone calls like that last one, but it's actually a new company. So you know um so they you try to block them, you change your you have caller ID. Everything this guy did, he just could not shake these guys. And so he said it was he said he owned his own company, an IT company, and he said it slowed him down. um, and he had free time to follow through with reacting to these telemarketers. He said, and then it just got to where he it was getting to be too much. You can have fun with them for a while, but then he said it gets annoying. So he went ahead and sued him, and he got a check. And he says he's believed he has got 30 to 40 settlements. And so what he did is after so many lawsuits and so many checks that he saved up for, then he went ahead and he opened a bar, and he's called it the wrong number. What a story. All right. Um, DARPA is going to come out with a new type of long endurance drone that uses electric, but it's to spy. It's a surveillance thing. You guys got to see this. It's really cool looking. There we go. That's it right there. And um, I think this is. I don't know. They said they're going to provide it around. Um, Ship flight decks and ground bases, and they say it's pretty cheap. They said police departments can use it, and they said there's all kinds of different companies or individuals that can use it for security, but it is a spy drone. And they said it won't be available to the public for a very long time. They're basically going to use it in the military wise for quite a few years before it starts going on the open market. And this is DARPA. So they say that they are going to, they have made these, they've tested them, they can now put them out on the market. And so if you see this in the air, they're spying on you. And they said this is something that even the government can use to keep an eye on us, or even, like I said, the police department. So watch out for those. Um, there was, and they're not sure why, but there was, oh boy, I'm running late today. I might, mm, uh, there was around 200 whales that stranded themselves and died on Australia beaches. And they said this was around Tasmania, and 35 are still alive, but they said they are dying and they don't know why. Half of the pilot whales uh, were, some of them were alive and quite a few of them were dead, and it took a toll on these. They said they got approximately 35 surviving animals out of the beach, and primary focus will be the rescue of the rest of them. That they don't know how many, but they said it's going to take quite a few days to get these whales that are dead off the beaches, and then find out if there's any living or not. And so they're going to investigate this to find out why. And it happened. They found them yesterday, and they were stuck on the sandbars. Um, and they said last time they were actually in the harbor, but it's quite calm. And they said they're not sure if it's the earthquakes, if it is something in the water, or if it's a natural occurrence where one led the rest to the beach. So I'm going to keep an ear out for that. Um, uh, Tinder dating app connects rescue dogs. So if you're looking for a dog, there's Tinder dating app that connects rescue dogs to forever homes in honor of uh, National Dog Week. So it's Dog Week. Now, where's William? He needs to go get his dog a big bone, one of them big old um, milk bones. Watch out what kind of bones. Um, Boy, I tell you, I might be able to get to a few of these. Let me see which one's a better list. Um, Smart sayings. There you go. I'll go with the smart sayings. The roughest night at King Arthur's round table was circumference. He acquired his size from too much PI. All right. I thought I saw an eye doctor on Alaskan island, but it turned out to be an optical illusion. Uh-huh. She was only a whiskey maker, but he still loved her still. Uh, the rubber band pistol was confiscated in algebra class because the weapon was of math disruption. The butcher backed into the meat grinder, and he got a little behind in his work. No matter how much you push the envelope, it still be stationary. A dog gave birth to puppies near the road, and it was cited for littering. Uh, a grenade thrown into a kitchen in France would result in linoleum blow apart. Okay. Two silkworms had a race. They ended up in a tie. Time flies like an arrow. Fruit flies like a banana. A hole has been found in the nudist camp wall. The police are looking into it. Atheism is a non-profit organization. Yeah. Two hats were hanging on a rack in the hallway. One hat said to the other, "You stay here, I'll go on ahead." Yeah, okay. I wondered why the baseball kept getting bigger, and then it hit me. The sign on the lawn said drug rehab center and keep off the grass. A small boy swallowed some coins and was taken to the hospital. When his grandmother telephoned to ask how he was, the nurse said, "No change yet." The chicken crossing the road is a poultry in motion. Uh, it's it's not that a man did not know how to juggle. He just didn't have the balls to do it. Uh, a short fortune teller who escaped from prison was a small medium at large. Uh, a man who survived mustard gas and pepper spray is now a seasoned veteran. Oh, that's horrible. Uh, a backward poet writes in verse. A democracy is the vote that counts, and feudalism is your count that votes. I hope I could say that one. I hope don't get me in trouble. When cannibals ate the missionary, they got a taste of religion. Don't join dangerous cults. Practice safe sex. All right, folks. So that is it for the day. Boy, I got behind. Lots of stories, though. Um, we will be back tomorrow. And if you're interested in our news or you like our news, that's coming up in about 15 minutes or less. I've strung it too far this morning. Usually I'm done about 10, 15 minutes ago, or I try to be. So please share this morning's show. It's very popular on Facebook. And hit the bell, subscribe, and follow and like over there in Facebook, but like and share. Uh, we're about telling the truth and having fun here in the mornings. So, with that, you guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you with the news, or we'll see you tomorrow morning. You guys take care, and God bless.